Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 114 is out now. The Darkest Hour storyline continues, and Melissa is still killing it with this storyline. I am loving Darkest Hour as it comes out every month, and this issue was another fantastic issue, because this issue, you feel dread for our heroes with everything going on, as you feel like their backs are pushed against the wall with everything going on, because you've got Tommy captured, you've got several other Rangers captured. There's a lot going on in this issue, and there's a lot to dissect and talk about with this issue we're going to be talking about on the channel. So let's dive into Mighty Morphin Power Rangers 114. So the issue opens up on Safe Haven, where you've got Adam and Rocky in their holding cells. Rocky's doing push-ups, Adam is meditating. Rocky doesn't want to sit still for too long, because he says if he sits still, then he's going to think about his family and worry about the danger they might be in, which is understandable because Rocky cares a lot about his family. Anyone else would in this situation. But we soon find out that Rocky and Adam aren't the only ones in these holding cells, as they're surrounded by several other Rangers from all these different universes and timelines. We've got Dino Charge, Operation Overdrive, Mystic Force, Ninja Steel, Lost Galaxy, Wild Force, and SPD. And that's one thing that I really do like, because you've got all these different Rangers on this panel from different series, different dimensions, different timelines, and you get to see them interacting with the Mighty Morphin team. You get to see them interacting with Rocky and Adam. And one thing I do like is Rocky says, "Oh, we're Mighty Morphin," and Adam says, "Yo, I thought we haven't decided on a name yet," which is, if you don't get that reference, at the end of Mighty Morphin of the Matt Groom run, the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers team didn't really have like a name. They just called themselves the Power Rangers. So one of the last things you see in that run is you see a big whiteboard, and they've got all these different names trying to decide on what they want to call themselves, and eventually they land on Mighty Morphin. So it's cool to see that that conversation probably continued later down the line, and that's the name they chose to stick with. So Rocky and Adam, they're in the holding cell, and they're soon approached by Chloe's father, who calls himself Angel, and he says, "Now it's time to introduce you to Dark Specter." So this shows that things aren't going to be looking good for our heroes if they're going to be coming face to face with Dark Specter after getting taken out of their prison cells. So after that, we then come back to the Bermuda Triangle, where Billy was staring down the barrel of the Phantom Ranger's gun, and he's pissed off. He's like, "Wait, you rebuilt my proto-arch?" He's like, "It was never meant to be rebuilt," and now Dark Specter's crossed over to this universe, and Billy's like, "Hey, it wasn't us, it was a friend of ours, but they're no longer with us, and it wasn't our goal to bring Dark Specter over, someone else did that." And while the Phantom Ranger is pointing his gun at Billy, you have Coinless Trini jumping in, being a badass, putting the Phantom Ranger in a hold, and holding her weapons close to his neck. And we get a good look at the Draken Ranger Sabertooth Tiger daggers, and although they're kind of exactly the same, they've got some more sharp edges on them throughout the middle blade, which makes them look really badass because they look really cool, and they sort of infuse with the Draken Ranger design they've got going on with them. So the Phantom Ranger does say the Trini, saying, "Hey, you can cut me up as much as you want with those blades. There's not going to be a lot under this suit," which teases that there's nothing under the Phantom Ranger's suit. It's just a soul, it's just a phantom, it's just that grid energy that we learnt about in Edge of Darkness. So the Phantom Ranger asks Billy, "Why are you trying to use the power eggs?" Because the power eggs, they're very powerful, and you probably don't know how powerful they are to begin with, and why are you using them as a key? Because if you're not careful, you could shatter the very existence of this universe you're trying to save. So Billy's like, "Hey, we didn't have much of a choice here." And then the Phantom Ranger goes on to sort of talk about how he ended up here. And he goes on to say that he was sort of trying to find the emissaries with everything that's going on. He was traveling the galaxy, trying to go through the dark ends of the galaxy, dark ends of space, trying to find the emissaries. But he was soon trapped once the infection happened, until he was summoned through the arch when Darkest Hour began. So Coinless Trini asks, what's the emissaries, because they probably don't have them in their universe, and the Phantom Ranger gives the lore drop and probably the simplest explanation on what the emissaries are and what happened in Power Rangers universe. So the Phantom Ranger goes on to saying they're former children of the Morphin Masters who initially discovered the grid and studied it, and in an order to stop Dark Specter, the emissaries tapped directly into the Morphin Grid's power, merging with it, and now are forever in a flux. The Phantom Ranger then also reveals that the emissaries are trying to contact the Morphin Masters and are probably our last hope to stop this infection, which is teasing what we're probably going to be getting within the next couple of months. And then Billy says, unless they're trapped too, and the Phantom Ranger's like, yeah, that's what I'm worried about as well. So suddenly, their talk is interrupted as they're getting radio comms from Bulk with what's going down with the HyperForce Rangers and the remaining Mighty Morphin Rangers in the quarry. So we quickly cut to them, and this is where things get crazy even more. So after that, we then cut to the Angel Grove Quarry, which is interesting to learn. I know, they're at the quarry, fascinating, but when Darkest Hour first began and we first saw the Omega Rangers, we saw Trini and Zack, it said they were somewhere, so I honestly didn't know if they were on Earth or not, because who knows where everyone got pulled to when Darkest Hour began. But it looks like they're still on Earth and they're having a battle at the quarry. But you've got the HyperForce Rangers and you've got Miss Kendall and Taylor coming in to save them. So while this is going on, you've got Squad driving some heavy machinery and Finster standing on top of a crane where it looks like they're getting into some construction work, but really this is part of Finster's plan. So as this battle's going on, you've got the HyperForce Rangers and the Mighty Morphin team, the Omega Rangers, sort of like a mix and match of everyone trying to fight off the Thralls. And while this is going on, Finster creates a monster by combining the crane and the bulldozer into Cranophant. And this is one crazy looking design. I didn't even know Finster could do this, and this just shows how crazy and what power level he's on right now with combining stuff into monsters. I mean, if he can do this into, if he can turn stuff like that into monsters, who knows what he can turn into monsters. But I really do dig the design. The design looks really crazy. The HyperForce Rangers and the Mighty Morphin team question, how does it even look like an elephant? Because it looks more like a spider with a big snout going on for it. So it's got a weird name, but it's got a really cool design. I really freaking love it. This thing kicks ass. So while this is going on, the HyperForce Rangers summon the Kronos HyperForce Megazord. We kind of saw it in Shattered Grid, but it did combine with a bunch of other Megazords, and this is our first looking at it. And I gotta say, it's got a pretty cool design. I really do like digging it. I think there was concept art of it back in the day, but this is our first time seeing the main Zord of the HyperForce Rangers in the comics, and it looks really freaking great. So while this is going on, Kimberly is fighting off Thralls, and she says, I can send in air support if you need help, but suddenly the Death Ranger shows up. And when the Death Ranger just appears out of nowhere, this is a big oh shit moment, because suddenly the Death Ranger's here. So the Death Ranger grabs a hold of Kimberly and says to her, saying, I am in need of new Rangers, and you call to me. Your soul is in a flux. Your heart is broken. Would you like me to fix you? And while this is going on, while the Death Ranger is holding on to Kimberly, you can see the fear in her eyes, which the artwork here is fantastic, because you get the close-up on her, and you can sort of see the fear and terror on Kimberly's face as the Death Ranger has a hold of her. But suddenly, Matt comes to the rescue. Spear tackles the Death Ranger off her, and this is where the battle comes to a close as Finster and Squad are teleported away, but the Death Ranger leaves with this ominous message saying, perhaps another time, Kimberly. I'll give your regards to your love. So that's where this battle ends, And then we cut back to Safe Haven, and this is where we catch up with Tommy Oliver as he's been captured. He's face to face with Dark Specter, and Dark Specter's like, the White Ranger has a mythical reputation, and he's excited to turn Tommy into his own fighter. But not only that, he knows that Tommy is out of his league here. He says, "You're a child on his knees. You stink of fear despite putting on a brave face." And the White Ranger powers, they were never designed to be used for evil, but Dark Specter wants to change that and throws him one of their own morphers, the Dark Specter morphers, and he says, "I'm giving you a chance." So Tommy tries morphing in front of Dark Specter and Mistress Vile, but he gets blasted by Mistress Vile, and you just see him screaming and gasping for air as he's fighting the conversion. So he's fighting for his life, and he's able to resist the conversion as he's unable to be turned by Dark Specter. And there's a moment where it seems like that Tommy's been taken over, but as Dark Specter calls him to come towards him, Tommy says never and takes out Saba and goes for the attack. But suddenly, Tommy is blasted in the back by Rocky and Adam as he sees his friends converted into Dark Specter Rangers, and they start attacking him as well. So Tommy is seemingly knocked out from being sneak attacked by Adam and Rocky in their new evil forms, and Dark Specter is pissed off at Mistress Vile, saying, "You promised me a White Ranger. Why isn't he turned?" And Mistress Vile's like, "Master, I don't." And you can sort of see the fear on Rita's face as Dark Specter's pissed off at her, because like ever since Darkest Hour began, and we saw this last week as well, like although Mistress Vile is doing things to please Dark Specter, there are moments where he's getting pissed off at her, he's losing her patience with her. So it looks like that even though she's serving her new master, she's still incompetent as she was when she worked under Zed back in the day. So it seems like whatever Rita does, she can't seem to please anyone right now, depending on what evil lord she works under. So after that, we then have a page where we cut to Promethea and the Omega Rangers are reunited. While this is going on, you have Kimberly watching, and Matt walks up to her saying, "It should have been me, I should have been one to stay behind." And Kimberly says, "It's not your fault, it's my fault. Tommy's Tommy. I'm sure he'll be fine." But you have Kimberly carrying the burden and blaming herself with everything that's going on, because Kimberly, she's been reckless this past couple of issues, and she probably feels like that recklessness, her breaking the rules and acting out on anger after what happened to Matt, that's what led to Tommy getting captured and Tommy putting himself in danger to protect everyone. So you can sort of see that anger manifesting in Kim within the next couple of pages, but you can tell that she feels guilty with everything that's been going on recently and what Tommy has done. So she blames herself right now. After that, we then come back to the command center where we've got Zordon and the Phantom Ranger reuniting, and Zordon does comment on the Phantom Ranger losing his physical body in pursuit of good like himself, but then the Phantom Ranger has this line saying, "Allow yourself to grieve, Zordon. Our losses are too many to count. It will shore our resolve for what's to come." And this bit of dialogue made me raise an eyebrow because, wait, what's to come? Our resolve? Does the Phantom Ranger know about if Zordon sacrifices himself, it will unleash the Z-Wave and restore, like, good across the universe by purifying everything? Like, does the Phantom Ranger know about that? And is that the trick up his sleeve that they might have to resort to in the comic doing it earlier? I wonder if that's what he's talking about. But Draken comes in saying, "Hey, what are you going to do beyond licking our wounds here?" So the Phantom Ranger says, "We need to find the Morphin Masters, but we can't really find them because we have to go into an arch, and the one that we used is broken, and the only one that we know that actually works is on Safe Haven." And this is where Billy has this really cool line by saying, "Well, that's not entirely true." And I do like how he's drawn here, the pose that he's doing, because he's sort of doing like the anime push back your glasses, I've got a plan in mind. So after that, they go back to the triangle and they sort through the rubble trying to think of a plan. And Draken's losing his temper as Billy's trying to think of a plan with everything going on. Now, Billy still has the power eggs on him, and I really do like that attention to detail where he's carrying them around wherever he goes, because those are sort of like the key to helping them out in Darkest Hour. So I do like how Billy's carrying the power eggs wherever he goes, but Draken's getting pissed off. He's like, think faster, nerd, and Billy's like, hey, want me to stab you again? And Draken's like, I'd like to see you try. And then Kimberly just steps forward, socks him right in the stomach, punches him right in the gut. First thing I saw when I saw this panel was like that scene in Smiling Friends where Charlie punches the demon and he's just on the ground wheezing. I can just picture Draken doing that right now. He's just on the ground like wheezing heavily from like Kimberly punching him right in the gut, which, God, like that line I love. I like how Draken's like, he's not the tough guy here anymore. Anyone can just like kick the crap out of him and he's on his knees. Like Billy stabbed him last time. Kimberly punched him in the gut. He took a shotgun from Jason in like the World of the Coinless. Like Draken ain't on like top form anymore. He's getting the shit kicked out of him, which is kind of funny. And I do like how they use these moments for like these serious comedic relief moments where you just see Draken getting the crap kicked out of him. So Kimberly says, we don't have time. We need a working Master Arch. And I know where one is. And how about we retake Safe Haven? So that's the last page where Kimberly says we should retake Safe Haven. And on the final page, you see Safe Haven being surrounded by Thrall, surrounded by ships, but not only that, you see several other Rangers standing amongst them. And the Rangers we see some interesting choices. So, of course, you've got Rocky and Adam. They're being taken over. I believe you see on the top of the platform, you see either Samurai Pink or that could be Lauren being taken over. I'm not entirely sure. It's hard to tell because like they're in the distance really far away and you can't really see the kanji on their helmet. You've got Operation Overdrive green and yellow. You've got SPD red. And you've got Samurai blue here. And they're all being taken over by Dark Specter. And you see several Thrall around them. You see Thralls of all different shapes and sizes as they're standing in front of like the base. So that's where 114 ends. Overall, this was a fantastic issue. I really enjoyed it. Melissa is killing it with Darkest Hour, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next because we've got several issues of Darkest Hour to go. I believe Darkest Hour is ending on 124, and seeing how they're planning on taking back Safe Haven already, this seems like it's setting up for like the final act with everything going on. So I do wonder where the next couple of issues are going to go moving forward, because the solicitations for 117 are out already for like February's issue. We've got the Morphin Master book coming out, so there's a lot going down with this Darkest Hour storyline, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next, because it looks like we're going to get all these different Rangers throwing hands, and I can't wait to see all these interactions and see even more corrupt Rangers in Darkest Hour. So this issue was fantastic, and I can't wait to see where it's going to go next. What are your thoughts on Mighty Morphin Power Rangers issue 114? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Tell me in the comment section down below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and opinions. Well, with that said, I'm out of here. Have a wonderful day or night, and I'll see you guys later. Peace out. Take care. Bye.